to stand over here until the sun goes down. Whew. Woo. Where's my cake? Yeah.
She's supposed to print it. Don't worry about it.
That is a very good question. That is a very good question. Nope. I'm standing over here because the sun, I can't, forgive me.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's nice to see you. The sun is still out and bright, and it is lovely for us to be together this Shabbat evening. Our first evening of the summer service. Summer, I think, is here to stay. Cross our fingers, no more rain. And we are going to get started this evening with Mizmor Shir on page 1.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי והגיון, בכינור מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון, בכינור מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
We will turn to page 2, and we'll read responsively at the bottom. Live each day to the fullest. Get the most from each hour, each day, and each age of your life. Then you can look forward with confidence and back without regret. Be yourself, but be your best self. Dare to be different and to follow your own star. And don't be afraid to be happy. Enjoy what is beautiful. Love with all your heart and soul. Believe that those you love you. Forget what you have done for your friends and remember what they have done for you. Disregard what the world owes you and concentrate on what you owe the world. When you are faced with a decision, make that decision as wisely as possible and forget it. The moment of certainty never arises. Blessed is the generation in which the old listen to the young, and doubly blessed is the generation in which the young listen to the old. We welcome in the Sabbath bride, the Kala, the Shabbat Kala, with Lecha Dodi on page 3.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekabela la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד,
השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך יגלה, לה לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We turn to page 4. We'll read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And we'll continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 5.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכו בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן כהריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם לעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen.
We rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu on page 6.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam.
We'll continue with Ma'ariv, Aravim, our prayer, thanking God for creation, for setting the sun and the moon and the stars in their courses in the heavens. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, Umachalif et hazmanim, Umsader et hakochavim, B'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv arabi. We'll continue with Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu v'shochbeinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla ve'yahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael.
We'll read responsively at the top of page 8. One and only God, you have made each of us unique and formed us to be united in one family of life. Be with us, Eternal One, as we seek to unite our lives with your power and your love. We proclaim now your oneness and our own hope for unity. We acclaim your creative power in the universe and in ourselves, the law that binds world to world and heart to heart. We continue with the Shema, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
Ve'ahaveta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kishartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Before we turn to Mi Chamocha on the following page, I'd just like to think about where we are in our year. We are towards the end of our counting of the Omer, between Pesach, the holiday of our freedom from Egypt, and Shavuot, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And I just want to think about what that means for us to be free, for us to be a free people, free to create our own laws, our own society, our own Jewish community, and then what that freedom means as we come to getting Torah at Mount Sinai, what sort of freedom that gives us to have the Torah in our midst and to study and learn from it each and every day. And I want us to keep that in mind as we continue with Mi Chamocha on page 10.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze'eli anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. V'nemar, kifad Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
We turn to page 11 and we'll read responsively at the bottom. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth.
May all who struggle find rest on this day.
May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Turn to Vishamro at the top of page 12.
Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash.
We continue with the tefillah, our standing prayer, in the middle of page 12. We rise together.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an shemo be'ahava, Melech Hozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamolcha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha sela, Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We continue in the middle of page 14. We'll read responsively. There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to someone who cannot possibly be of service to us.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
There is holiness when we are willing to be laughed at for what we believe in.
There is holiness when we love truly, honestly, and unselfishly.
There is holiness when we remember the lonely and bring cheer into dark corners.
There is holiness when we share our bread, ideas, and our enthusiasm.
There is holiness when we gather to pray to God who gave us the power to pray.
We'll continue together at the top of page 15. O God of Israel's past, O God of this day, God of all flesh, creator of all life, we praise you, the Most High, for the gift of life. We give thanks, O source of good, that life endures, eternal and infinite one. Help us to use our life for blessing, to live by your law, to do your will, to walk in your way with a whole heart. We thank you, eternal God, for the blessing of life. We'll continue with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, bechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
With those words of peace on our lips and in our minds and hearts, we turn our attention to those in our community who are in need of not only peace, shalom, but shalem, wholeness. Healing of body, of mind, and of soul, refuat ha-nefesh, urefuat ha-guf. Those in our community that we are thinking of this evening: Shandol bat Frida Malka, Julie Borokoff, Margot Raz, Carol Dubin, Samsara Vizkaya, Sharon Rotman, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Jean Bass, Alan Turner, Steve Teplinski, Myron Dvorkin, Esther Cohen, Lisa Furstadt, Terry Finch, Harav Ilana Miriam Bat Chava, Faye Levin, Hachazan Sarah Rachel Bat Yocheved Bat Alexander, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Steve Plotkin, Kathy Peltz, Avram Ben Naftali, Emma and Max, Doug Cruz, Nadiva Sarah Batliva, Carol Rovner, David Goldstein, Marilyn Harmon, Chris St. Martin, Barry Bursack, Debbie Kelly, Janet Meister, Susan Sack, Reza Tzvia Batshena Etta, Mary Frankowitz, Sophia Rubenstein, Ilana Himmelfarb, Charmaine Hayden, Wendy Wiviet, Sue Weller, Kate Wilson, Yocheved Bat Rundle V'chaim, Walter Shapiro, Otto Feller, Avraham Bat Frida, Marla Chakowski, Michael Sachek, Dave Rotter, Helene Wallenberg, Peter Becker, Natalie Cohen, Elaine Keller, Teresa Drews, Yona Neri Ben Avraham Vasara, Batya Bat Moshe Valiva, and Marvin Edelstein. If there are those who you are thinking of at this time, I invite you to hold their names in your heart as we continue with these words of Misha Berach on page 17.
Misha Berach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach imoteinu mikor habracha la'avoteinu bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us all say,
With those loved ones still in mind, we take a moment now for silent meditation for the prayers of your heart.
At the bottom of page 16. Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer le'olam, hachol v'hayam, risru shel hamayim, berak hashamayim, tvilat ha'adam, hachol v'hayam, risru shel hamayim, berak hashamayim, tfilat ha'adam. O God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
A little over a year ago, on May 8th, 2021, the 26th of ER 5781, I stood on the Cincinnati campus of Hebrew Union College, HUC, our Reform Movement's rabbinical school, waiting to hear my name called to be ordained a rabbi. I watched 11 classmates walk to the center of the bima, where our provost, Rabbi Dr. Andrea Weiss, laid her hands on their heads and blessed them. 4 administrators honored us: the dean of our Cincinnati campus, Rabbi Jonathan Hecht, the associate dean, Rabbi Julie Schwartz, the provost, and the president of HUC. Earlier that semester, 7 of us took congregational positions. 2 signed with Hillel, 1 entered a chaplain residency, one continued to work towards military chaplaincy, and one took an organizational position. We serve Jewish communities in 9 different states across America. I'm doing a lot of counting. Appropriate, given that we are almost finished counting the Omer, the days between the second night of Passover and Shavuot, leading up to the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. It is also the beginning of the book of Numbers, which first describes a census taken of the Israelites. Not everyone was counted, though. God commanded Moses take a census of the Israelite community by the clans of its ancestral houses, but to only count males 20 years and older. Nowhere are women mentioned. In the Torah Women's Commentary, Rachel Haverlock remarked, "Counting concealed the female presence in the community." Presumably, this census was taken as the Israelites moved from their encampment to begin their travels through the wilderness. It makes sense that a community would want to have an accurate accounting of who was in their midst before beginning a long and arduous journey. Why then did they leave the women out? This is a question I find asked in countless ways across the Jewish community. Why did we not count women in the minyan? Why were the matriarchs left out of the Avot, a prayer about our ancestors? Why were women left out of the important life cycle milestone becoming B'nai Mitzvah? Up until 1972, why were there no women in the rabbinate? On this day, June 3rd, in 1972, Rabbi Sally J. Prezand became the first female rabbi ordained in the United States. It was an historic moment as she stood alongside her 35 male classmates. Exactly 50 years ago, we ushered women into a position of religious leadership. It was not easy. Rabbi Prezand fought tooth and nail for her rightful place alongside her classmates. In March, I was privileged to hear Rabbi Prezand share her story at this year's CCAR conference. Growing up, she always knew she would be a teacher. When she turned 16, she decided she would be a teacher of Judaism, a rabbi. In 1964, she enrolled in an undergraduate program jointly sponsored by the University of Cincinnati and HUC-JIR. As she progressed in her studies, eventually working into the rabbinical program, she faced many challenges. Several professors thought she was there to marry a rabbi rather than become one. Rabbi Prezand kept her head down, studying diligently, proving herself academically and dedicating herself to her craft. Dr. Nelson Glick, then president of HUC-JIR, fully supported her throughout her time at the College Institute. Unfortunately, a year prior to her ordination, Rabbi Prezand's mentor and biggest advocate died. His wife later told Rabbi Prezand that Dr. Gluck expressed that prior to his death, there were 3 things that he wanted to accomplish, and one of them was to ordain her. While he could not fulfill that dream, Rabbi Prezand, supported by the new president of the College Institute, was ordained the following year. During her time in Cincinnati, Rabbi Prezand even served as a student rabbi right here in Congregation Shalom. Once ordained, she served as the assistant rabbi at Stephen Weiss Free Synagogue for several years in New York City before becoming the rabbi of Monmouth Reform Temple in 1981, a position she held until her retirement in 2006. Rabbi Sally Prezand forged the path for generations of women to come. Because of her, women are no longer concealed by counting. Her bravery, persistence, and love of Judaism made it possible for little girls to see themselves in positions of Jewish leadership, to grow up knowing that their voices would be heard and their commitment to Judaism could inspire others. Fast forward to my ordination. 2 of the 4 administrators and 6 of the 12 soon-to-be rabbis were women. I'm proud to know another Jewish young woman in our Milwaukee community who was recently accepted to HECJIR. Right now, as we mark the 50th anniversary of women in the rabbinate, there is so much for which to be grateful. We are fortunate to have had many strong women rabbis serve as rabbis here at Congregation Shalom over the years. May it continue to be so. Kene hi ratzon. May it be God's will. We will turn to begin our concluding prayers with Aleinu. We are on page 18, and I'd like to call forward Linda Berlin and Brent to open our ark. Brent Arnold, sorry, Brent, to open our ark this evening. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latein keduda liotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Our attention turns to loved ones who are no longer with us, and though their physical presence is no longer on this earth, we hold them with us in our hearts and in our minds, their presence guiding us each and every day. We recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. At this time, we commemorate the lives during the period of Shloshim of Stanley Bellow, Pauline Gale, Rosalie Kahn, Leslie Germaine Martin, and Ruth Schaller. And during their yahrzeit, Lauren Lance Arnold, Julius Atinsky, Helen Berkowitz, Isaac Bonnick, Haya Devora Buiam, Charles Burston, Constance Donahue, Jerome Duckler, Jean Frankman, Saul Gollin, Mary Goulder, Arthur Henkin, Harry Hirsch, Eve Hirsch, Marion Holtzman, Samuel Kaufman, Herbert Kimmel, Shirley Niaz, Julius N. Kohler, Betty Kramer, Sarah Lackritz, Randolph LeClaire, Genia Lemmel, Beverly Levin, Jesse Leviton, Ruth Lieberman, Eleanor Lieberman, Arthur Marvin Mackman, Rose Mackman, Betty Bellick Maselman, Robert Mayerson, Helene Newberger, Howard Paley, Hans Pick, Jack Polanski, Judy Bruskin Rosenthal, Norbert Sager, Emmerich Salzberger, Hyman Schiffman, Eugene Cebulski, Ethel Setlick, Richard L. Siegel, Faye Singer, Philip Stein, Max Stern, Jean Suvalski, Jack L. Turner, Fanny E. Vielli, Pearl Wallace, Judith Weiss, Samuel Weiner, Eva Wiviet, Mildred Wolfson, Barbara S. Young, Melvin Zaret, and Bessie Lesson Zeft. If there are loved ones who you are thinking of whose names I mispronounced, or those you're thinking of that you'd like to share aloud with our community, please do so as my eyes meet yours. In addition to those names that we hold in our hearts, we think of those who have died due to war and/or terrorism, those who have died defending our nation's and allied nations' ideals, those who perished in the Holocaust, including the 1.5 million children, the children and teachers who passed in Uvalde, Texas in the past week, as well as all those who have died due to gun violence in our country and around the world. In addition to those who no longer have anyone to say Kaddish for them, we stand together as a community for these words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 20. It gadal vit kadash shemei rabba, ba'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, v'chayachon uvyomachon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vit hadar, vit ale, vit halal, shemei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom v'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be forever for a blessing. Together we say, amen. You may be seated. And at this time, I'd like to call forward our President, Brent Arnold, to share some announcements with us.
Well, thank you, Rabbi. Summer in Wisconsin is finally here, and I hope you all had the chance today to get outside and enjoy this wonderful weather. Tomorrow night we will gather together for Shavuot and celebrate our confirmation ceremony that will begin at 7 o'clock. I'd like to thank all our confirmation students for their dedication to Judaism and their commitment to continuing their Jewish education. I hope they are able to take everything they have learned here at Shalom and apply it to whatever lies ahead of them. On Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, we will have our Shavuot Yizkor service, and then at 1:30 until 3 o'clock, come to the Shavuot Scoop. If you don't know what that is, Rabbi will be scooping ice cream at Baskin Robbins, located on Port Washington Road in Bayside. Now, my favorite flavor is definitely the peanut butter and chocolate. I don't know about you. Our congregation annual meeting is coming up on Thursday, June 16th at 7:30 p.m. Oh, thank you, 7 o'clock p.m. I apologize. We look forward to welcoming all of our new board trustees and our new endowment committee members. This will also give you a chance to hear all about our annual reports. Next Saturday night, please join us for our camp-style Havdalah at 7:30 p.m. here at Congregation Shalom. So even all of you, feel free to wear all your favorite camp t-shirts or your free Congregation Shalom camp t-shirt. Then we are in store for another big weekend as we celebrate the installation of Cantor David Perper. Starting on Friday, June 24th at 6 o'clock will be the installation ceremony featuring Cantor Faith Steinsnyder, our Shalom Choir, and Paul Karsten, as well as a guest appearance from cantor Jordan Franzel. A wonderful oneg will then follow the service. Then the musical celebration continues on Saturday evening, June 25th at 8:15 with Cantor's Coffee House. So please join us for a dessert reception, Havdalah, and musical concert. There's quite a list of cantors that night that will be sharing all their musical talents with us. That should be such a fun night with honor and lots of festivities.
Tickets are going fast.
Are they?
Tickets are going fast.
I've heard that. Then on Sunday morning, June 26th, will be the Gary Paler Memorial Shalom Golf Outing.
I can't speak to those tickets. I don't know.
They're at Songbird Hills Golf Club to help benefit our Shalom education program. We're looking for more people to sign up and more golfers for this exciting event. So please get all your golfing friends to know about it. It will be a great day of breakfast, golf, lunch, lots of prizes, and a lot more fun. Lastly, don't forget about our weekly Minyan service, Saturday Torah study and Shabbat service, Tuesday adult education, and Thursdays What's New. June is Pride Month. And at this time of the year, it is important to recognize how inclusive Congregation Shalom has become. We strive here to welcome everyone and to make everyone feel the most comfortable. All genders and all people of the LGBTQ community are welcome to find faith here at Congregation Shalom. I want to thank Rabbi Taylor Pozlowski for representing Congregation Shalom and the Jewish faith at Pride Fest this weekend. It is a truly meaningful mitzvah and represents the very best of Congregation Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much. We have a lot of really great things going on at Congregation Shalom, and we're excited to have you all with us for all of them in the coming weeks. So we will continue with candle lighting. We're on page 22.
Let's sing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, shel
And we will rise for Kiddush. We are on page 23.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim l'shalom.
L'chaim. Now, our closing song this evening is Lo Yisa Goy on page 24.
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor ever shall they train for war.
Amen.
Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama.
Shabbat Shalom.
La 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 And in my prior congregation, we used to look at the camera and say, and to all those at home, Shabbat,
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. Dope.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
If